Hey gang, we are halfway through my Australia trip. I was on my way to Grafton, as you heard, and I had just wrapped up my time in Brisbane. Again, I went to the Australia Zoo. I went to the Lone Pine Koala Sanctuary. I learned a shit ton of information about the local animals in the country, and now I was on my way, making my way down to Sydney, where I was going to wrap up the trip. So I think this is still me in Grafton. Let's check out this clip.
Hey gang, so tonight I'm staying in the farming town of Grafton. It was the first town established in the North Coast, or so their welcome sign says. I'm walking back. I just saw One Love in their local movie theater. It's a really cute, sleepy little town. And I'm hoping I can get the audio as I continue walking here, but the bat population is a little crazy. And as I was leaving the theater, I just heard this crazy, I guess you would call them screeching. I'm hoping that I can pick it up on the audio here, as I'm definitely going to pass a whole bunch of them. But I learned the koala sanctuary. I mean, I always knew, like, everything's a part of the ecosystem and everything's an important part of the ecosystem, but bats are especially important part of the ecosystem. They help with pest control, and they also pollinate better than bees. They can pollinate like something crazy like 600 square miles or something like that, whereas bees can only pollinate like, I don't know, within like 5 meters or something. So, you know, and I think they're really incredible, no matter how big or small that they might be. And the ones at the sanctuary were particularly large and really awesome. But again, they explained, you know, how important a role they play in the ecosystem. So I'm going to shut up here and see if you can hear them. Those are not birds. It is 9 o'clock at night. The sun has gone down. Those are all bats. And I did see one fly by. It's bigger than a crow. It was most certainly a bat. And I just think it's wild. I think it's wild. I hope you can hear that.
Yeah, so I will say, you know, again, I've grown up going to the Bronx Zoo fairly regularly. I did, like I said, I went to 2 different zoos and then the koala sanctuary on my trip. I've always had an appreciation for bats, but I never really got to look at them as closely as I was able to at the koala sanctuary. In the Bronx Zoo in particular, whenever you go into the bat area, it's always a setup like it's in like a cave. So it's always extremely dark. You really don't get to see the bats properly. They're either sleeping in a corner in the dark or flying around in the dark. So you really don't get any type of, you just really can't make out, what they really look like. They're kind of set up to look scary and ominous. Whereas at the koala sanctuary, they had, and granted they were sleeping because it was during the day, but their bats that they had, which again are the type that I'm talking about here and that I'm walking amongst, were huge. They're bigger. Like I said, they are bigger than crows, but they were sleeping, but they were hanging upside down, and it was, again, broad daylight. They were out in the open, so you could get up close and really look at them, and they really are absolutely beautiful. But in talking with Anna, who, again, you guys are going to meet later on this season, come to find out there are 2 male bats of one particular type of species. And I apologize, the species is lost on me right now. And then I think she said there were 6 or 7 female bats of another species. They look very similar. They're the same size, but they are completely different species. And apparently the males are on birth control. Because they're, again, trying to control the breeding, trying to control the population. They're not the same species anyway, so they really technically shouldn't be mating. Well, one day, a keeper went in to feed the bats, to clean their enclosure, and sure as shit, there were 2 babies. And they said, well, wait, what? So they called the head of that department of that area. And sure enough, she went in and said, yep, there are two baby bats here. And what the fuck? Because again, these guys are on birth control and they're two completely different species. Did we do something illegal here in crossbreeding? Did we create a new type of species? What do we do? So I guess they did call, I get not the CDC, but I guess like their version of like the EPA or something like that. They did call some wildlife government people and say, so this happened. What do we do? And basically the government came back and said, well, wait until the babies get a little older, and whichever species they resemble most, well, you're just going to classify as that species. So that's, I guess I shouldn't be blowing up Lone Pine's stuff here, but I just thought that was so funny. And again, being able to see them in the light and really see what they look like and their faces and their structure. You know, they don't look like vampires. They don't look like Dracula. They don't look like big, scary monsters. They're really beautiful. And it gave me such so much of an appreciation of them. And again, learning that they're such great pollinators and they're so good for the overall ecosystem, which again, people just want to give them a bad rap, and you only think about them around Halloween and what you see in films and again, in caves and all that kind of shit. And again, I'm so sorry that I'm swearing so much again, but I just wanted to share that because I thought it was just such a wild experience walking through there. And again, it's pitch black out. It's 9:30 at night, and you're like, it's so loud out here. And it sounded like birds, like in the start of the day. And I just said, oh, like what on earth? And then when I saw the one bat fly by, I realized like that's all bats. So I wanted to share it. I'm really glad that the audio picked it up fairly well. Again, so surprising doing all of this through my phone, how well this stuff is coming through. But I just thought that was so wild. So now on the next clip, I am in Tari. So let's get to that.
Hey, it's me on the road again. I know, don't stop and drive, don't text and drive, but I'm sitting here for 2 hours and I have stuff to talk to you about. So as part of, continuing my bariatric chat with y'all, traveling into a foreign country on a very specific dietary regimen has been interesting. It hasn't been too bad. Again, I think I mentioned I packed a shit ton of my keto cookies, my high protein cookies, just in case, especially for these last 2 days of traveling, because I knew I was going to be on the road and I didn't know what the restaurant situation would be like. And it is very much like, if anyone from the States knows what it's like driving through Iowa or through Pennsylvania, it's pretty much like that, where it is just straight highway. Only in certain spots where it's more heavily populated are there restaurants, but like where I'm going through right now, there's no exits, there's no restaurants, there's not even any gas stations. And that was one thing. I filled up with gas when I left the place I stayed last night in Grafton, and it cost me $63. My tank was not empty. I just knew I was going to be on the road for the next 2 days. So I was like, let me just fill it up. I mean, I think I had like maybe a quarter of a tank left. I'm driving a Toyota CHR, which is a crossover. By the way, you guys, this is my problem with crossover vehicles. Like the back window is like negligible. Like it's not like I don't even look in the rear view. This is why they have backup cameras on everything now, because the fucking windows are so small. It's like they're useless. Like I don't even realize that it's there because it's so fucking tiny. So I'm like turning myself around to look out the back, like, because it's fucking ridiculous. But anyway, so $63 to fill up, which roughly is like, I want to say it's like $45, $50 American. So not horrible, but definitely more than I'm used to paying regularly with my little Honda back at home. Anyway, but the most interesting thing I'd say about Australia in general, well, as far as foodstuffs is concerned, because they have everything here. Like I've eaten sushi, I've eaten pizza, and that was actually pretty decent. I've gone to Hungry Jack's, like I said, which is like their Burger King. I've been to 2 different chicken joints. Like I'm looking to go to a Mexican place that somebody mentioned to me. Yes, they're all chains, but it's still like it's places that we just don't have in the U.S. So food has not been an issue, what's been interesting is everything is carbonated. So I got a lemonade from the pizza joint, and it was like in a glass bottle. Like it looked like one of those like fucking bespoke, whatever the shit beverages that you would get at like a farm stand. Like it was very much like, it just looked like a regular country lemonade. No, fucking thing was carbonated. It doesn't say it anywhere on the thing. Like, that's the thing too. Like, you really have to search. Like, when I just went to get some bottled water at a grocery store at Kohl's, and I literally like had to pick up the water and like shake it to make sure that it wasn't sparkling water, because it's not all labeled whether it is or not. So sure as shit, like within, the first like couple of sips, I was like, oh great, this is carbonated. And I had to throw the whole thing out. So that really sucked. So like there's like no, like the only thing that I've been able to find has been like sports drinks, like Powerades. So every so often I'll get a Powerade just to give myself something different. Or, to fill up on electrolytes because it's so fucking hot. But a really interesting thing. So with that, so Australia, they have like completely outlawed plastic straws. They've completely outlawed plastic bags. They have been cracking down on sugary drinks. So like, there's my car is yelling at me because I'm going the speed limit. I don't know. Anyway, actually, it might know that I'm on my phone. That's a thing too. That's definitely a thing. Anyway, so at McDonald's, for example, in Australia, they have shifted from full sugar Sprite to now they only carry diet Sprite. Because I guess the majority of children, their parents think like, oh, Sprite's a little better for you rather than like high fructose corn syrup Coke, which, honey, there's really not a difference. But anyway, so most often children, when they get their meals at McDonald's, will get Sprite. So McDonald's has made it a point, well, and I think also with the aid of the Australian government, to go, we're not going to have... Oh my God, stop talking to me, car. I'm fucking doing the speed limit. Leave me alone. Anyway, so McDonald's has done away with full sugar Sprite. The only Sprite that you can order from McDonald's is a diet Sprite. Okay. They also do not have Diet Pepsi. Apparently they haven't had Diet Pepsi for decades. Like, they only have Pepsi or Pepsi Max, or like the fucking like flavored Pepsis, like cherry Pepsi, whatever the shit. Well, now apparently Australia is doing away with Diet Coke as well. I don't know why they would keep one and not the other. It's really strange, but so now all of the restaurants are replacing Diet Coke with Coke Zero. And I just think it's a really interesting commentary, because it's like, it's so weird to me, like what people care about and what they don't care about, and the justification they have for keeping one thing and getting rid of another. So it's just been really funny to me to like hear these things and to see them and experience them for the first time. Cause like, Australians would talk about, like, literally at the gas station when I filled up, the girl at the gas station was like, oh, I can't wait till I can go to America because I love food and your portions are insane. Like, that's that's her reasoning for wanting to come to America. I was like, well, yeah, we've definitely got some stereotypes out there. Like, okay. So I just wanted to share that little bit. And one more thing, if you are someone like me who is going to see a concert overseas, find out what all of the policies are on reselling your tickets, because I got 2 tickets to see Taylor through StubHub, then saw that there were better seats available later on, like a couple months later. And I picked up 2 more tickets thinking, oh, I can just resell the originals. Unfortunately, none of the tickets were released to me until I got in country. So the show is on Monday. Today is Friday. The tickets were given to me this past Tuesday. Okay, whatever. But they don't have StubHub here. And they don't really have Ticketmaster either. They have what's called Ticket Tech. And I'm sorry the fucking car keeps yelling at me. I think it's definitely because I'm on my phone and it knows I'm on the phone. So Ticket Tech will not let me screenshot my tickets on my phone, but it requires a screenshot of my tickets in order for me to relist them and sell them. Well, business centers are like a thing of the past. Most hotels are doing without business centers now. And I didn't bring a laptop with me because I'm not fucking doing business while I'm here. And it's just an extra thing for me to have to worry about and get from point A to point B safely. So trying to get rid of these extra fucking tickets that I have for Taylor Swift has been nigh impossible. So just keep that in mind if you are thinking about going to an event or something in a foreign country and you don't know their policies. Like, definitely do your research, because had I known it would have been such a pain in the ass to get rid of these fucking tickets, I wouldn't have done any of it. But thankfully I actually did. I've been asking like everyone that I'm meeting. And a gal from the koala sanctuary who was American. She's trying to find a way, but it's like 10 hours from Brisbane to Sydney. And she doesn't have the kind of time that I have to make the trek. She was trying to find a way to come out, but I talked to the woman at the front desk at the hotel I stayed at last night, and she has friends in Sydney. She's reached out to a couple of them on Facebook. They have all, we're connecting via Facebook. So it's looking as though I am going to be able to get rid of these tickets, but it's just been the biggest pain in the ass. And listen, it's a nice problem to have, sure, but at the same time, it makes me feel like such a fucking moron that I did such an impulsive, stupid thing, getting a second set of tickets when I was having a hard enough time just finding one person to go with me. So just again, if you're going to put yourself through something like that, find out what the deal is, find out what the policies are, find out, like, make sure you know exactly how you're going to be able to transfer these things, and, do your research, guys. Fuck, what a pain in the ass. But I've got another hour and a half, and then I am in Taree. I'm still going straight down the East Coast. Sadly, all of the highway that I am traveling on is pretty far inland, so I have yet to see the Pacific Ocean. I have yet to see a shoreline, but I'm hoping that once I get into Taree, I really have absolutely nothing on the agenda tonight. I don't really think it's a really busy area. I think I might be able to have some time to drive out to a beach somewhere. We'll see what happens. But yeah, it's still been a great trip. Everyone's been super, super nice. I feel super safe here. That was a big concern of a lot of people when they found out I was coming by myself. I have not felt in any sort of way that I was in danger or that, maybe this was a bad idea. Everything has gone off relatively smoothly, knock on wood. But listen, guys, again, I had been planning this for quite some time. I wasn't able to book anything. I think I've mentioned that before. I wasn't able to book anything until like a month and a half ago, just because I had to make sure I got the time off from work. But I pretty much had everything set up and figured out by the time I did get the approval and was able to book everything out. So, just if you're thinking about something, you can think about something for 10 years. Keep looking, keep checking websites, keep up to date with the area and with what's going on. And, like I said, I just happened to follow Tony and Ryan, who are a Melbourne-based podcast duo. But I had been listening to them regardless of whether, this trip was actually happening or when this trip was happening. But that's been a really great resource too, because like I've said, they've mentioned a lot of local shops and restaurants and kind of helped me figure out, what to do and during my travels, during my downtime. And that's been really amazing too, because you don't want to just do touristy shit. Everything. I guess you can consider everything that I've done to be touristy shit, but I did want to do some like actual local Aussie shit too. Certainly not going to a fucking Outback Steakhouse, I'll tell you that. But yeah, guys, so far it's been amazing. I have, what the fuck is the date today? I don't know. Hold on. Oh, this fucking car. Shut up. It's the 23rd. Okay. So I have 6 more days and, no, it's the 24th. Oh my God. I have 5 more days. Sorry. My Fitbit is still set up for home time. But yeah, and I know I'm rambling. I'm sorry, but I just wanted to share some more because like I said, I'm just fascinated by everything and it's all new to me. So hope you're enjoying this episode so far. I know it's a lot of back and forth and rambling and Mike is working his magic, piecing everything together, but I hope you're getting something out of this as since I've been talking about this trip for so long now.
So again, I'm an idiot and mistakes were made and a lot of money was thrown in the trash. And it turns out and I think I talk about this later on as well, but it turns out the Taylor Swift tickets that I had originally purchased were no better or worse than the second set of tickets that I purchased. They were literally in the exact same spot in the arena, but just opposite sides of the arena. So one was on one side of the stage, the other was on the other side of the stage. Had a great time, regardless, in the end. But lesson learned. And like I said, it did eat away a big portion of my budget, and I probably would have come home with some more money had I not done that. Again, I do talk about it later on as well, so I won't get any further into that. But yeah, your girl's an idiot, and lesson learned: stop being an impulsive jackass. But shit happens.
Travel day 3. I drove 4 hours from Taree to Sydney, and boy, let me tell you, Sydney is very different from Brisbane. Brisbane is, like I said, very much like New York City, but it was still a lot easier to get around, get stuff done. And I will say I stayed like in the heart of Brisbane, at least I think it was. Whereas where I'm at here in Sydney is kind of on the outskirts of the center of the city. So everything that I have planned for the rest of this trip is about 20 to 30 minutes from my hotel. So when I got in, I was very surprised. Like, the area is kind of rural, but also industrial and kind of run down. Like, I walked down some streets and I was like, I don't know if I want to be here at night. And then I ended up having to walk out there at night and I was like, sketchy, but it was fine. Everything worked out. It was great. But you guys, my hotel, it's a Moxie, which is a boutique style of hotel from Marriott's. And they try to be fucking cutesy. It's a TikTok hotel is what it is. Like, it's all for fucking Instagram and for TikTok pictures. Like, they think they're being edgy and like, cause everything's like industrial and it's concrete and it's spray painted numbers. And oh my God, I'm not 40 yet, but fuck me, I'm over it. Like, every time I leave my hotel room, I want to barf. And you know what? When I'm in my hotel room, I want to barf. Like, the whole appeal is that it's not a full service hotel. There's smaller rooms with less amenities for cheaper, but they still make it look cool. So you don't feel like, you're getting some bargain basement hotel. But at the end of the day, like, they don't have an ATM. They don't have a shuttle to get you anywhere. They, like, don't do certain things. Like, they don't have, for some reason, business centers are becoming a thing of the past. Like, every hotel that I've stayed at recently has not had a business center. And of course, random shit that I've tried to do, it's like, oh, print this out for your, like, for this ticket and for that ticket. And I'm like, fuck. So, I had to send my document to the people at the front desk in order for them to print it out for me. And it's like, bro, like, just put a little fucking kiosk in the corner and let me do my business. But whatever, it's fine. I did manage to find someone to buy the pair of Taylor Swift tickets that I had. So that's all done and dusted, which is great. And I still have one ticket left. So honestly, I'm just going to grab somebody from the line tomorrow and be like, yo, let's go see the show. But we'll see what happens. But again, I got to my hotel and I really didn't have anything going on. And I thought about it for a second and I said, you know what? Like, let me look up what the deal is with Taylor Swift merch. Cause I know that they're selling merch like all day long. At least that's what I've heard in other places. And I'm like, I really don't want to fucking deal with the lines tomorrow. And I certainly don't want to be carrying the merch around at the venue. So I said, let me just, you know what? She's playing tonight. Let me just take a chance and go get the merch. Again, I am nauseated by this hotel. So I didn't want to spend hours here. So I said, fuck it. And I ordered an Uber. A very expensive fucking Uber, but it's because it's Taylor Swift surge prices right now. But I met this wonderful woman named Tina, and she drove me around. She's like in her 60s. She's got a full family. She's already lived a full life. She started driving Uber 5 years ago, and she also does like private driving as well for a little cheaper. So my first ride with her was Uber, but then she said, I'm going to turn the Uber off. She's like, go get your merch. And then if you want, like, I'll circle back and come pick you up. And dude, it was the best fucking plan in the best scenario ever. Like, I got there right as
Sabrina Carpenter started at 6:15, and there was virtually no line for the merch. Went up, got the stuff that I wanted. They were sold out of a couple of things, so I'm hoping that maybe they'll replenish tomorrow, and I'll grab one thing now that I know how it all works. And I parked like right by the merch place. At least, well, I reserved parking right by the merch location. So at least like I know the lay of the land when I go there tomorrow. But so Tina was awesome. She came back, she picked me up, she brought me back to the hotel. She kind of tried to drive me around a little bit, but like the traffic was a little nuts. And she's like, you know what? You're tired. I'm tired. Let's just go home. And she's like, tomorrow I'll pick you up. She's going to take me to Bondi Beach. And then she's going to take me to the candy company Sticky at the Rocks, who are pretty much like the reason that like this whole trip was started in the first place. So that's going to be really fun. And then in the evening, it's going to be Taylor Swift, baby. So that's really exciting. And, you know, I kind of wish that I had stayed more in like central Sydney because there's really not a lot to see where I'm at. But at the same time, like, and even Tina was saying the same thing. She's like, have you looked at some of these hotel prices? I was like, yeah, I did. That's why I'm staying where I'm staying. Like some places it was like $1,000 a night. And again, it's because of Taylor Swift. Like I am paying more tonight and tomorrow night because she's here in town. And then my last 2 nights, I'm paying significantly less. So, you know, it's a shame that places do that and up the prices. But at the same time, like I'm so used to it at this point. I used to work in a hotel, so I kind of get it. It sucks, but it is what it is. So, and a lot of people in my hotel went and saw her tonight. And it was really cute seeing everybody's outfits. And again, just walking amongst the crowd when I was getting the merch, it was just amazing to see like everybody's just wherever Taylor goes, she just the whole place is just set on fire. And it's just wonderful. Like everybody's so happy. They're in these cute little outfits, like really thought out, you know, and the friendship bracelets. I have friendship bracelets to bring with me. My hotel has been playing Taylor Swift since I came in today. They're probably going to play it again all day tomorrow, which is fine. Like, I just really love how cities are just responding to her. And it's just so amazing. Like, even when I was in Brisbane, she didn't get a chance to go up there for her tour because Pink and Blink-182 are also down here. So and I think Katy Perry was as well. So they had bought out all of the available dates that Taylor could have had up in Brisbane. So she's only played in Melbourne and now in Sydney. So everybody that was up in Brisbane was like so bummed because it's 10 hours to get down here and they just couldn't swing it. So I'm just really, really lucky. And again, like, this is why I can't believe I'm having such a hard time getting rid of this one last ticket. But hopefully I'll find somebody and just make their day tomorrow and be like, let's go, let's fucking go. So we'll see what happens. But stay tuned for Taylor Swift chat at some point. I'm going to be dead on my ass tomorrow, I'm sure. But you know what? It'll be worth it. And it's once in a lifetime. Never doing this crap again. So stay tuned tomorrow. So the Taylor Swift prices are a real thing, y'all. So that was Anna from the Lone Pine Koala Sanctuary. That was her biggest thing, because flying from Sydney to Brisbane is fairly a regular thing. I think the flight itself is only like an hour and a half, when, like I said, it takes like 10 hours to drive down. Okay, maybe it's 3 hours or something like that. But she was seriously contemplating coming down for the show. She was off the night that I was going to Taylor. She kept looking at prices, and she's like, the problem is the flights are fucking nuts. They are out of control, and it's because of Taylor. Taylor was playing 4 straight nights. She was playing Friday to Monday at the Acker Stadium in Sydney. She's the only artist that's ever played 4 back-to-back shows in a row. I think I bring that up later on. So it was that whole weekend of travel was just surge prices, was Taylor Swift prices. And again, like I said, the same thing with the Uber, same thing with all the hotels. It was also the start of the Lunar New Year celebration. So the city was kind of decked out for things for that. Pretty much after Taylor left, a whole bunch of Asians came into my my hotel, like literally like 200 Asians just descended upon the hotel the next night for the Lunar New Year celebrations. There was also Pride weekend that was coming up. So again, like after I left, everybody was coming in for the Pride weekend. So it was just like the prices were just up, down, up, down, up, down. And like I said, the price is what pretty much determined where I stayed. I'm not very familiar with Airbnbs. I've only really stayed in like one or two. I'm not really comfortable with them with all the press and the scary, the harrowing tales that I've heard of bad things happening or people getting charged for shit that they didn't break or damage or whatever. So I've always been kind of hesitant with things like that, or with bed and breakfast, especially traveling to a place that I've never been before. So for me, I was purposely trying to stick with like name brands that I was familiar with. So again, I stayed at the Moxie, which is a Marriott owned property. So I was like, okay, I'm a Marriott Rewards member, so I'll get some points, and at least it's somewhat familiar. Like I said, it's not a full service hotel, which is what I would prefer. But at the same time, I'd still rather stick with a name brand where I know if anything goes wrong, I can reach out to customer service and be like, listen, y'all done fucked up, fix it, whatever. And it would be fine. Whereas, a mom and pop place or Airbnb, bed and breakfast, it's kind of different. But again, now that I am 40, that kind of hotel really sucked ass, because it was a hotel for influencers. It was a hotel for the gram. Everything was like cool neon lights and bespoke furniture, and check out our elaborate menu with quirky fucking names, and they really prided themselves on like their lounge that had like a foosball table and cool lighting, and like everything was designed for Instagram photos, which again, if that's your vibe, fucking have at it. That's great. But that, to me, that it's neither relaxing nor the way I want to spend my vacation. Like, I'm not traveling for the gram. I'm traveling to experience a life and some new shit. So it just, to give you a perfect example, when I left the hotel, my thank you email from the Moxie started off with, "Thanks for chilling with us." Like, kill yourself. Like, are you kidding? Like, Jesus Christ, you guys. I just, maybe it's because I'm getting older. I don't know what it is, but it's like, what a waste of everybody's time with that bullshit. Like, stop. Just give me my bill. Tell me what you charged me and fuck off. Like, I can't. I'm sorry, but it's just the dumbest fucking thing. Let's go to the next clip.
Just some more bariatric chat, gang. The hardest part about traveling and being in an area that you're not familiar with, or and all by yourself trying to navigate it, like, especially with the exchange rate being what it is, like, I'm paying $30 for scrambled eggs. Like, I can't eat full portions like other people. I can't like take second, third trips to the buffet. So the biggest waste of money this trip has been for me has been food, because again, the exchange rate is so different. It's so expensive here. Not that at the end of the day, like, it's all coming from my credit card. So like the conversion rate is done. Like, so even though I'm paying $30, I'm really paying like 25 or 27 or whatever, but still, like, $27 for a half a plate of food is really frustrating. And especially in the mornings, like, it's really hard for me to find breakfast. Hotel breakfast is just not, again, if I want to load up on carbs, great, but that's not what I should be doing. And they really never have the proteins that I like, or cooked the way that I like. So like, the hotel this morning had like ham, and it looked like pig's ears. Like, it was just this, just this flap of fat. And I'm like, yeah, no. So I've just been eating scrambled eggs, and I'm having one slice of toast, but I'm like trying to load it with peanut butter, even though peanut butter is not as full of protein as everybody thinks it is. It's been really difficult. And again, and then I'll go somewhere else, and I've, like last night I got a cheeseburger slider for dinner, and they were like, this is the kids menu, right? And I'm like, yeah, I know. And I still paid like $27 or something ridiculous for that. But that's just, that's the nature of the game. And again, I'm only sharing this because if you were thinking about having the surgery, like, these are all things that like no one really mentions initially. Like, yeah, portion control is really important, and getting your protein in is really important, but they don't tell you, like, you're still spending top dollar and paying for a full portion of food that you're not going to eat, which is a shame. And, you know, if I were in a different hotel that had a mini fridge and a microwave, like maybe it wouldn't be so bad. You know, I could load up my plate the first day and then have leftovers the next day or whatever. But sadly, you're not always going to be in a situation that's ideal. And that's where I'm at. So I just wanted to share because it is very disappointing when you have nothing on your plate and you're spending top dollar. But again, that's just the way the world works, I guess. So there you are.
Yeah, so that's something that I'm all about leftovers these days. I've mentioned this before. You know, like one full portion here in America will last me 3 days. And I literally just had this happen the other day. I went to a new place for breakfast that I had never been before, but I had a gift card from something. So I said, well, let me check it out. And sure as shit, like the portion was what we expect here in America. It was rather large. And I literally had the exact same thing for breakfast for 3 days in a row, just because that's how long it took me to get through that portion. So on the one hand, here in America, it's great if I can take stuff home because I've got a fridge, I've got a microwave. But like I said, when you're traveling and you don't have those amenities available to you, the Moxie did have like a little market for like after hours if their restaurant was closed, and it did have a microwave. But again, I can't take leftovers back if they need to be refrigerated because I don't have any place to put them or anything to do. I mean, I think if I was traveling and here in America, like maybe I would bring a cooler with me or something, or I'd get one of those like styrofoam coolers and fill it with ice and try to make do with something like that if push came to shove. But yeah, and it sucks being a picky eater on top of it too. Like I actually hate the way hotels make eggs. I think they make them way too wet. I can't, it's so hard for me to scarf down scrambled eggs from a hotel. I do try to get an omelet if I can, because usually they're cooked a little better. But even then it's just not the way I prefer my eggs to be made. So it's all breakfast in particular is really, really tricky. Cause like I said, I need to focus on protein. I'm not sitting down to a bowl of cereal. I'm not sitting down to a stack of pancakes. I really carbs don't fill me up anymore either. Like, I've come to the realization, and this apparently is not a new thing as I've been going through this journey. So they've said to me prior to having my surgery. See, I just ate, so now I'm getting like I've got a little hiccup thing going on. So prior to my surgery, they had told me like people realize that they're lactose intolerant. The surgery doesn't make you lactose intolerant. You've been lactose intolerant this entire time, but because you were eating so much, because you were intaking so many calories and so many different foods on top of, you know, either the milk you were drinking or the cheese you had on your pizza or whatever, that it kind of masked the symptoms. Or like, you know, maybe you'd have a crappy time, and, you know, pun intended, a crappy time in the bathroom one day of the week. But now that you've had the surgery and your stomach is smaller and it processes things so much quicker, that you've now realized like, no, you are full blown lactose intolerant. So with me, I have come to realize that I am hypoglycemic. And again, thinking back, like I think I've mentioned this before in my bariatric updates, that sometimes I'll wake up and I need to eat something right away because I'm so low. That's the only way I can classify it. That I get almost faint. So I'm rushing to eat something before, and I've said before, some of my mornings are very, very slow because of this, because I just have to sit down and get something in, or I might pass out. I might run the risk of passing out. I feel very, very lightheaded and dizzy and sick. So I've realized that, yeah, I'm hypoglycemic. So, and the only thing that gets me out of that and kind of levels me off is protein. Like I can try and eat carbs all day long, but it's not going to fill me up. It goes through me pretty quickly. And it's just not full of the nutrients that I need. So that's for me, breakfast is the biggest problem. And I basically end up eating a lot of like leftover like lunches and dinners for breakfast. So I have like a lot of chicken, and that kind of thing. But again, when traveling, especially if it's a place like I went to Foxwoods one weekend with Chammy and her family, and we stayed in this, just budget kind of hotel. And they said that they have a continental breakfast. Well, their continental breakfast is very different from what I'm used to in other hotels and other continental breakfasts. Like basically they had a waffle maker and a bowl of fruit, a couple things of yogurt, and some cereal. And you're thinking, well, Liz, you can get the yogurt. Well, I've had yogurt in hotels before, and I'm always very good about checking expiration dates. But unfortunately, you never know if that yogurt was left on a countertop all day and then someone found it and put it back in the fridge, thinking that, oh, it was just somebody just forgot it, whatever. So I've had that experience where I've grabbed a yogurt, expiration date was still good, opened it up, took a spoonful, and it was rotten. It had turned because it was left out. So I can't trust certain things like that. So for me, it's like if it's not cooked right in front of me, or if it's not sitting on a hot plate or whatever, and again, I'm not gonna have a plate of waffles. So we ended up having to go to Dunkin' where I could get, a sausage sandwich. But these are the difficulties that I am running into. It's mainly travel is the biggest issue, which is why I take my protein cookies with me, because I know those will do the trick. They'll get the protein in me. I'm not totally sick of them yet, but I have to make sure that I'm covered in situations like that. So this next clip, I believe, is all about Taylor Swift. So enjoy.
Gang, what a fucking day it's been. I was up early. Well, not crazy early, but I didn't sleep really worth shit last night. My allergies have started kicking up because my body just simply isn't used to being exposed to nice weather consistently for days at a time. So my throat is fucked. I've got a little post-nasal action going on, but that's it. I don't have any other symptoms. I'm totally fine. It is 100% my allergies. I got some lozenges and I'm doing the best that I can. But yeah, sleeping was kind of shitty. It's really, you guys know, you have a little post-nasal action going on. You can't fucking sleep because you want to either cough or blow your nose every 5 fucking minutes, but it is what it is. I'm currently in the parking garage outside of Accra Stadium, where I just saw Taylor Swift perform her ass off for her last night in Sydney, her last night in the entire country of Australia. It was a hell of a show. I did manage to get rid of all 3 of the extra tickets that this dumbass purchased. I definitely lost money on the deal, but you know what? I found 3 gals that were really, really appreciative. One girl bought the 2 tickets for her best friend's birthday. And then the gal that sat with me in my seat, Hannah, she is a new mom. She actually was walking around for a little while with her baby, Millie, sweet little Millie, to kind of, try and garner sympathy. Like, please send this mom to Taylor Swift. So she and I chatted and I was like, listen, I've got a ticket if you want to hang out with me. And she called her husband, said, come get the baby. And we had a great night. It was a lot of fun. So it looks like we're slowly starting to get out of here. So that's exciting. But I figured I have this time. I'm charging my phone. And yeah, it was awesome. It was everything that you've seen, you've heard, you've seen on the TikToks, you've heard from friends, you've experienced yourself if you were lucky enough to go. I know it's a stupid amount of money, and sadly, shit's only getting fucking dumber with money. Like the cost is just out of control. But I'll tell you, as an American in a state where the dollar goes very, very far, it's really nice when you spend what you consider to be a stupid amount of money somewhere, and then you look at your bank statement and you're like, oh, thank God. It wasn't that bad. You can kind of justify every one of your purchases because the dollar is extremely strong here in Australia. Which again is why I lost money on the tickets, because they paid me in Australian dollars and not US dollars, but it is what it is. Like I said, I'm happy I was able to help 3 people out and change some lives. But gang,
if you have a kid of your own, and this is, now let me tell you right now, this is not judgment, but there was a batch of gals sitting around us, like rage screaming, and this is not an exaggeration, banshee screaming, rage screaming, like you would think they were at a fucking hardcore show. Rage screaming, literally every lyric, like all like the spoken word portions, the rap portions, the like fucking folklore, like the really like calm, quiet, their rage screaming everything. Like they were clearly having out of body experiences. Like Taylor Swift is their gal. At one point, when Taylor did her acoustic set, she came out and she had said like, oh, like I always try during this portion of the show to play songs that I don't typically play, to play songs that weren't, you know, like top 40 hits that weren't released, and just to kind of get a vibe of the crowd. And the two songs that she picked, I couldn't even tell you what the songs were because I couldn't hear her singing over the girls behind me positively losing their fucking shit. Like apparently she chose one of the girls' like 2 favorite songs in the entire universe, and they proceeded to have a 4-alarm fire, a fucking nuclear meltdown over the situation. It was unbelievable. Like I'm shocked nobody fainted on me. Like honestly, like they went nuclear. It was wild. It was absolutely fucking, and it was like, oh my god, I can't believe she did it, oh my god, she did it. Like it was holy fuck. And again, rage screaming the whole time. I wish I could describe it, but if I did, I would lose my voice just trying to imitate it. So there's no fucking way in hell they're waking up tomorrow with a voice. That's not happening. Whether they have one in the next month is also to be determined, but I don't expect it to happen because fuck. But if you have young girls, tell them they don't have to lose their minds. Like, I just, like, you can sing along. Well, and that was the thing too. Like, in the section we were in, it didn't matter what they did at certain parts where it got a little quiet or there was like a lull or like an instrumental transition, they would try to scream something. And again, I'm not going to yuck their yum. I'm not going to say anything to them. Like, they're living their best fucking life. But in my head, I'm like, babe, Taylor Swift can't hear you. Like, there's no way she can, like, no matter what the circumstance, she cannot hear you. I assure you she cannot. So if you've got young gals, and like, again, I get it. And believe me, I lost my ish over bands for years too. But like, man, like, just sing along, honey. Like, it's, either way, you're not being heard by the artist, but damn. Those girls, like, honestly, like, their lives have been changed. So good for them. You know what? It's when you pay the money that people have paid, that I have fucking paid for these tickets, like, I'm guilty of it myself. You know what? If your life hasn't been changed, then Taylor owes you some money. But it seems like it worked out for everybody. So, yeah. So, I'm thinking that I can get out of here, but it seems like everybody that's moving has now moved themselves into like more of a traffic jam. So maybe I'm just going to live here now. I might die here. I might die here in the P1 lot of Acker Stadium in Olympic Park. But you know what? Again, it was worth it. I had a great time, made some great memories. A lot going on the next 2 days before I leave. But, you know, I got to do all the things, or at least as many of the things as humanly possible. So that's what we're doing. I purposely sat for half of the show. I purposely did not sing along for half of the show because I have a very big day tomorrow. I'm getting up fairly early in the morning. And hitting the road again for another awesome activity. And I just didn't want to be fucking dead on my feet. And I also didn't want to lose my voice. So I took it easy, made some smart decisions, and more tomorrow.
Yeah, gang. So I have one more clip for about Taylor right after this, but of all the shows I've been to, and again, this is not me being braggadocious. Like, my family never took vacations growing up. There are two that I recall my whole life. What we did was we went to concerts. That's what we did. That's where we spent our money, because, you know, my parents really couldn't take time off and that kind of thing. So it was like, okay, one Saturday here or there, or one late night here or there. So that's what we did. We went to concerts. So I have seen over 100 artists live. I've seen a couple of artists multiple times. Never in my life have I been a part of something like that. In the scale that it was at. And granted, I've been to arena shows. I saw Metallica at Foxborough Stadium back when it was called Foxborough Stadium, and you know, I've been right up against the stage. I've been amongst the crowd. I've been in the crush of people. This was nothing like anything I've ever experienced before. And I actually wish that I hadn't seen her concert film prior to this. But I wasn't expecting to see her. It just kind of worked out that way. You know, everybody jokes with me that they're like, wow, you went all the way to Australia to see Taylor Swift. No. Taylor Swift was a nice bonus. Australia was always the perk. Australia was always going to happen in 2024. It just so happened that Taylor was there. I could have just as easily gone and seen Blink-182, or I could have seen Pink, but I chose to see Taylor Swift and be a part of this piece of history. And it is fucking historic, the things this woman has done and the lives that she has changed in all of the cities that she has visited. And she takes over. The entire country was talking about Taylor Swift, from Brisbane to Grafton to Taree to Sydney to Melbourne. Everybody was talking about Taylor Swift. And you guys know this from back when I went to Comic-Con. We talked about Taylor Swift, you know, because the concert film had come out around that time. So she's changing lives. She's changing the world. She's changing the economy. It's unbelievable, the impact that she has made. So I'm really, really appreciative and thankful and humbled that I have been able to be a part of this, and to say that I've been a part of this, and to say that I've seen it live. I'm telling you, I've never been. The only other thing I can equate it to is when Tammy and her daughter Hannah and I went and saw Lizzo earlier last year. We saw her in July. It was the same vibe, in the sense that people were there just to have a good time. Every single person that was there, whether they were a true fan or not, got it. And you put on this outfit, and you put makeup on, or you make a sign, or you've got accessories, or whatever it is. Everybody was there to have a good time and to live their best life and to feel their best. And it was just, never in my life have I seen something like that before. And Taylor Swift was no different. From the day prior, when I went to the merch table, to the following day when I got there early to try and get rid of that one ticket that I had left, just walking around that complex, surrounded by people dressed up in the outfits, exchanging the friendship bracelets, talking about their favorite songs, singing along. You know, there were food trucks around the entire stadium. You had all kinds of a wealth of variety of food to try. There were 4 different merch tents that you could go to. So I ended up going from one merch tent to another, because one had something, was sold out of this item, but the other one had it, what have you. But just this sense of community and camaraderie. And every single person, from the little kids to the parents or grandparents that were there with their family members, to the husbands, the girlfriends, everyone was just having a good fucking time. And that's what we were all there for. And that was the shared experience that we all had. And I'm telling you, it was something else. And I'm just so very, very thankful and humbled that I was able to make it work within my budget. Again, I was an idiot, spent way too much money, didn't gain any of it back. I essentially gave 2 tickets away. It's fine. I'm happy that I was able to do that and bring this experience, make this experience possible for other people. So shit, man, I'm telling you, if you can hate on, you cannot like her music, you cannot like the attention. Oh shit, sorry. Oh no. oh, that wasn't supposed to happen. Wow, sorry about that. There's an ad playing on this stupid app that I have. You can dislike her for any reason that you want. That's fine. But damn it, you better recognize the way that she has changed the world. She has changed the industry. She certainly has changed the economy every place she goes. And by the way, it is true, she does donate a shit ton of money to local charities in every city that she goes to. So she understands her impact. She understands that she could be doing, more with the money that she's earning. She understands that her money is going to outlive her. So we might as well put some good into the world. And I think it's a really great example that she's setting for her young fans, for both men and women alike. And you know what? You got to appreciate it. You got to recognize it, whether or not you're a fan of her music or not. So here's that one last clip from the concert.
You guys, fuck. The most wholesome shit just happened while I was leaving the parking lot. A group of kids came running around. They all have white t-shirts on with like different like Taylor Swift like lyrics and sayings and whatever. And oh my God, how fucking cute. They just went around. They have Sharpies in their hands and they're just going from car to car asking people to sign their shirts just to like pass the time, because they're like, we're stuck here too. We can't get our cars out either. So they're just, it's so fucking wholesome. Like they're just having a good old time. They're so sweet. And one chatted with me for a little while and he was like, where are you from? And, I told him from the States and that it was my first full night in Sydney and that I'm here for another couple of days. And he was like, oh, what a great way to start your, this part of your trip. Like, it was so fucking sweet. Man, I wish I was that creative when I was their age, because that would have been so much fun to do to like every concert. Like what a cool kind of souvenir at a show. And all the I went to so many shows as a kid and was stuck in traffic trying to get out. Like that would have been, what a cool idea. Man, I hope they really hold on to those shirts. Like they'll probably throw them out when they like, get their first place or something or whatever. But man, how fucking cute. It was so sweet. What sweet kids. I gotta love it. I just had to share because that was the coolest thing.
I mean, really, when I saw them walking around and doing that, I was like, get out of here. It was so cool. So I just never seen anything like that, but I just had to share that. So this is the very last clip of the trip. Again, I don't recall exactly what I've said. So if I repeat myself at any point, sorry, it happened. Like I said, I recorded these and then I sent them off to Mike and he was like, well, what do you want to do with these? I'm like, I don't know. So here we are. So this is the last clip of the trip.
Hey gang, it's my morning. I'm leaving this morning. I'm leaving in about an hour. I just have to jump in the shower, but I'm pretty much completely packed and already checked in for my flight, my long ass economy flight. We don't want to talk about it. But I didn't really say anything the past 2 days because I feel like it's just been like more of the same. Like, yes, I went to another zoo. I had more encounters with animals. And then I did the Sydney bridge climb. So if you haven't seen my Facebook posts, Google bridge climb over the Sydney Harbor and you'll see what I did. But as you guys know, like every place that I've gone, I've learned a lot, both about the animals and about the just the area in general, the history of the different cities that I've been in. But one thing that I just want to point out, simply because I'm an American surrounded by American bullshit, growing up around American bullshit. And, every area, every country, every piece of land has a history, and not always a great history. But what's been abundantly clear here is that the Aboriginal groups and tribes that essentially were the first people in this country are recognized on a regular basis here. They're not told to sit in a corner and shut up and be thankful for whatever. They're not asked to forget their history. They're not asked to, like they don't have arguments about, education as far as the original, cultures that were here well before. So when I did the Harbor Bridge Walk, for example, the guide started out right away by saying, we just want to acknowledge the Aboriginal tribes that have been here before us, as they were here for 50,000 years. And we only started, bringing Europeans and other people in around like the 1700s. The Aboriginal flag is everywhere in Sydney. So, well, and I should say the entire country, but everywhere that you see an Australian flag, there's also an Aboriginal flag displayed. So when I went on the Harbor Bridge, at the very top of the bridge, at the summit of the bridge, there is a huge Australian flag, and right next to it, equally the same size and the same height, was the Aboriginal flag. When I go to Sticky and I pick up their Australian mix, they make it a point to have the Aboriginal flag as a part of their lolly mix. So it's very much embedded in the culture. It's very much something that is on the forefront of education. Every single place that I've gone, when I went to the Sydney Zoo, when I went to the Australian Zoo, they always kind of start off with recognizing the tribes that had been there before. And they also use that as a way to help encourage, conservation and education about your surroundings and the surrounding animals and flora. And it's such a stark contrast to the bullshit going on in America about like, oh, we can't talk about slavery. Like, how dare you make people from this generation feel bad about slavery when it happened so long ago? And just like, fuck off. Like, there's nothing wrong with acknowledging, like, yeah, you fucked up. I mean, so if you go to Germany, for example, which, and I'll say I've never been, but I have family that goes there regularly. I have seen various documentaries and things like that. They educate everyone about the bullshit that happened with Hitler and the Nazis because they don't want it to happen again. That's the reason. It's not because we're trying to make people feel bad. We're trying to, flood this country with guilt or whatever the fuck the case may be. We're educating you because we don't want to go back there. And that's what it's about. It's not about white guilt or whatever the fuck stupid bullshit the Republicans are trying to shove down your fucking throat in our country. And I'm sorry, it is the Republicans doing that. But it's really about like, hey, let's talk about what happened and why it happened and how shit played out that way, because we simply don't want to be those people ever again. My uncle Gisbert joined the German army specifically so that he could punch Nazis. You know what I mean? Like he, same thing. Like he grew up being educated about all of that bullshit and said, I don't want it to happen again in my country. And I certainly don't want my country to be known for this kind of shit. So he joined up specifically to make sure that it didn't happen. So that's the difference, between countries like this and America. And it's just, the more you go out in the world, the more you realize how fucked up the shit that we're surrounded by every single day really is. And it's disappointing. But at the same time, I hope it makes people come back home with, I don't know, just a sense of like, I can do better. And I don't mean to blanket the entire country as like all Americans are fucktards, but we, as individuals, we all do well, but it's a shame that we can't as a country come together and be like, no, we need to be better. Like the divisions are just so ridiculous now. Whereas, like I said here, when COVID happened and they locked the entire country down, yeah, some people weren't happy about it, but the Australian government was like, hey, you want to fuck around? Go ahead. You're going to find out. And by find out, we mean you're getting fined out the ass. And I really wish America did shit like that, because you can have an opinion all day long, but at the end of the day, you don't have a right to endanger other people because of your fucking stupid opinion. Like, I'm sorry. It's just common sense to me.
But apparently some people need to be taught common sense and taught by example. So, you know, like I've said before, I don't have an issue with government regulation. I don't have an issue with, you know, laws and restrictions when it comes to the greater good and benefiting the majority over the single minority. So, you know, it's just, like I said, when you come to other countries and you see how much thought and care is put into educating, to sharing their story, to keeping those stories alive and in the forefront in everything that they do, it's quite an eye-opener. And again, like, yeah, I'm an American. I'm proud to be an American, but at the same time, like, you can recognize the flaws and the faults of the country that you're from as well. And boy, is it never been more evident than when I'm in another country, because fuck me, man. But at the end of the day, I am happy to come home. I really miss my cats. I'm happy to not be living out of a suitcase and having to constantly figure out how I'm packing shit as I continue to buy stuff here. But this has been an amazing trip. It's the longest vacation I've ever taken. And certainly the most time that I've spent, you know, by myself navigating the area. But again, being alone has not been a bad thing. It's been pretty great coming and going and you know, going to bed when I want, waking up when I want, all that good stuff. Excuse me. So as I say goodbye to Australia, I will take with me all of the things that I've learned, and hopefully I've educated some of you guys about what's out there in the world, and hopefully you guys can make the trip. It's extremely expensive. It's 2 full days of travel if you're coming from the East Coast in the US. It's a big undertaking, but definitely trip of a lifetime, and I hope everyone gets out here. And even if you don't come out here, I hope, you know, if you have a goal in mind, if you have a place that you want to visit or check out, I hope you get to do that one day, because it really is worth it and you'll be better off for it for sure. So this was the Australian episode. Again, I don't really know how Mike is going to put this all together. I don't know if this will be the end result or if we're going to do something differently. But it's not going to be the last time you hear about Australia. I do have some other things coming down the line, but that's it. And thank you guys for joining me. I hope it was informative and entertaining and educational, but you know, it's just me talking into my phone. So who knows?
So yeah, it's again, this isn't some anti-American rant or anything like that, but when you go to a country that is very heavily regulated by the government, has a solid infrastructure. You hear us talk about infrastructure all the time in the US. Again, all of these episodes, I have a lot of episodes being recorded in April, but nothing is actually coming out until May, as you guys are hearing now. But you know, the bridge just collapsed in Baltimore. Granted, that was through an accident. It's not because the bridge was you know, in bad shape or anything like that. But when things like that happen, it really screws up a lot of stuff. I mean, they're talking about there's going to be supply chain issues. There's going to be, you know, just all kinds of damage to not only Baltimore's economy, but the economy at large as the government steps in and tries to help them out with that. It's just it's very evident which countries have their shit together when disaster strikes. You know what I'm saying? So the one thing that I said to a lot of people, and I didn't mention this on Facebook, but I mentioned it, you know, just casually in passing, the majority to my girlfriends. Every single restroom that I went into in Australia, regardless of where I was, the Australia Zoo, the local mall, the strip mall where Sydney was on the Sydney Harbor, every single restroom, every toilet stall had a full-size garbage bin in it. Now, the men will not understand why this is important, but and when I say full size, I mean it was like 3 feet tall by a foot by a foot. So it just a square little cylinder, but it was a tall cylinder that had a full-size garbage bag in it. Here in America, when women are using their sanitary products, we are maybe given a bin that's about half the size of a regular mailbox to dispose of our sanitary napkins or tampons or even diapers if they don't have a facility, a diaper, a garbage bin at all in the bathroom, what have you. And the people that maintain the bathrooms then have to dig into these bins that are completely full by the end of each day, full of other people's used sanitary products, and fish this stuff out and clean out these tiny ass bins. Whereas in Australia, they understand this and they believe there should be a little more dignity when it comes to, this thing that happens regularly to every woman. And it's not something that we can really control, unfortunately. Lord knows I'm trying, because you guys have known my tribulations with my hormonal imbalance. But I digress. The point is, they're given a full garbage bin that contains a full garbage bag so that they really don't have to handle anybody's used sanitary or garbage or whatever the case may be. And if you want to use it as a regular garbage and throw your stuff out, maybe you're emptying out your purse while you're sitting on the stall, I don't know, whatever the case may be, but they have that available everywhere you went, every single place that you went. And even when I stayed in the hotels, every hotel gave me a little, maybe, like a small trash bag size, a small trash can size trash bag that was specifically for my used sanitary products. So, because again, we all experience this. Majority of women in the world experience this. There's no avoiding it. For whatever reason, with me in particular, it seemed like every time I was on vacation, anywhere I went, I would be on my period. So again, why not make it dignified? Put all your stuff in this bag, then put the bag in the trash, so that the people that handled your trash don't have to physically interact with your used sanitary products. I mean, once you go there and you see all of this happen, you're like, oh, that's a no-brainer. We can absolutely do that. Why aren't we doing that? Because we're assholes. That's why. Because we're not considerate of other people. We're not considerate of our fellow man here in this country for the most part. And anybody who is considered a libtard, or, oh, you're so progressive. Oh, look at you. Like, no, you shouldn't be mocked for treating things with dignity and respect and just making it easier for the next person. I don't understand why we have such an issue with this concept, but we sure do. So again, when you travel and you experience these things that just seem like no-brainers, and then you come back to our country and you're like, why is everything a fight? Why do we have to fight for these? It's simple. It's so simple, but that's how it is. And I did mention the bridge climb. I'm surprised I didn't talk about it at all. But again, it was my last day of the trip, and I think I was just so exhausted and just focused on packing and making sure I had all of my stuff together for the next morning when I was getting on my flight. But Google the Harbor Bridge Walk or Bridge Climb. It's right on the Sydney Harbor. More often than not, if you ever see pictures of the Sydney Opera House, you will see the Harbor Bridge in the background. They're literally, you can see one from the other. They're right there. They share that harbor area together. It was wonderful. And it was one of those things, it wasn't on my radar. I didn't know about it. It wasn't part of the plan. But as I was booking things, particularly in Sydney, as happens on the internet, you start to get ads, right? So my Facebook feed kept getting inundated with ads for this Harbor Bridge Walk. And it looked really great. And you literally are walking up the outer edge of the bridge. And I looked into it, and it was really expensive. Again, I have no problem talking about money. It was $350 Australian, which is like $275 American. Again, I'm not good with math, but there you go. And I kept seeing it. I said, I just can't justify that price. Like, and it's 3 hours. So I'm like, hold on, I'm paying you $350 for me to walk 3 hours up a fucking bridge. Like, I couldn't justify it. But I kept seeing it. And, it's one of those, like, it's a once in a lifetime. Who knows if I ever get back here? So I have to shout out to my mother. Again, not bragging by any means, but my mom I sent her the link and I was like, look at how cool this is. Like, oh, it's such a shame. Maybe if I ever get a chance to go back, I'll do this. I just, it's a bummer because I want to do all the things. Well, my mom sent me the link and said, here you go. Here's the money. Do the things. So I really have to take the time and say thanks, Joanne, for making that happen, because it was a really nice way to end off the trip. I learned a lot about the area. I learned a lot about Sydney. And it really was a lot of fun. And come to find out, I realized that the reason it was so expensive is because it is an active bridge. There are 2 million vehicles that travel across it every single day. And it's right over the harbor, and it's the first bridge that was ever constructed in that area. It's the two shores that it connects, those are the closest shore points in that area. Back in the 1700s, it was conceived. Someone had said, I think we should have a bridge here. It's kind of a no-brainer. And they were like, it's going to be expensive. It's going to take a lot of time to build. No. So it wasn't until the early 1900s that they actually did build the bridge. And what a world of difference that it made. And apparently people were walking on it before they were legally allowed to. So a lot of people kept getting arrested for walking on the bridge. It wasn't until the 1990s that it was made possible for them to take tourists up onto the bridge. But again, the reason that it costs so much is because it is an active bridge over a body of water. So it's really for insurance purposes. It's really not, I guarantee you they're not making a ton of money off of those tickets. It's for insurance. It's if in case anything drops, on the 80 meters below where the road is, or it's 450 feet from the top of the bridge to the surface of the water. So again, in case anything drops, they had so many safety protocols in place that I really don't think anyone's ever fallen from it or anything like that. We're in a harness, we're in a jumpsuit. Everything is tethered to our jumpsuit so that there's no possibility that it could fall. That we're not allowed to wear hair clips. We're not allowed to, any jewelry that we had, they asked us to take it off and put it in a locker. They breathalyze you to make sure that everybody is good and is going to handle the journey. So the 3 hours, in fact, the walk itself was only 2 hours and 15 minutes. And there was 45 minutes of safety prep. And again, like I said, they breathalyze you. They give you the whole rundown. They tell you exactly what we're going to be doing. They even had a little mock setup of, because like I said, we're tethered to this line, and at certain points to get up to certain spots on the bridge, you're going up a ladder or you're going up a set of stairs. So they had this set of stairs and ladders set up to so we could practice. We walked through with the tether to, this is what you do in case your tether gets caught on something or it doesn't go through smoothly. So they were really good about safety and showing everybody how to get through. So it was an amazing experience. And again, I want to thank my mom for making that happen, because again, you guys, I had a specific budget. I was really conscious about my budget. I fucked up the budget with the Taylor Swift tickets. So it was just one of those things that I was like, I want to, I probably could afford it, but I just can't take that chance, especially because it's at the tail end of the trip, and who knows what I'm going to encounter during the trip itself. Like I might just need that extra money in case something happens. So again, I know I'm running long now with this episode, but I just want to say again, thank you to my mom to making that happen. And again, thank you to my cousin Karen, because she helped me get to and from the airport every day. She hooked me up, like I said, with that standby flight from LA to JFK, which also helped my budget immensely. So it's just, it was a trip of a lifetime that I will remember forever. I'm so thankful for all of the wonderful activities I got to do. I'm thankful for the people that I met. Like I said, Anna from the Lone Pine Sanctuary, Koala Sanctuary, she and I are still keeping in touch, and we're going to be talking later on this season. So you guys, that was episode 2 of season 2. I promise I might be done with the Australia chat eventually, but this was Try Not to Curse, and welcome to season 2. I promise you from now on, it'll be interviews, no more me babbling, but it happens.